All right, welcome in. I'm Brian Edwards of MajorWager.com. We've got the NBA regular season wrapping up on Wednesday, and therefore all the futures have been taken off the board, not only to win the championship, but to win the Eastern and Western conferences. Even like the little props of regular season MVP, they're all taken down right now. So what we're going to do on this video is we're going to talk about my already hit rock bottom and are now up and coming Atlanta Hawks. I am a lifetime suffering Atlanta Hawk. We've been to the Eastern Conference Finals once in my lifetime, and we were promptly swept by the LeBron-led Cavaliers. But the future appears bright, and I'm going to tell you why here in the next few minutes. All right. So clearly, despite loads of criticism, the Hawks traded down from number 3. Oh, well, they actually, in real time, they took Luka Doncic, but they promptly traded him to the Mavs for the 5th pick and got the Mavs first-round pick for next year. Or, I'm sorry, would it be this up? Yeah, it's this upcoming draft. Yeah. It was next year at the time, on draft night last year, obviously. So I think as we've seen post All-Star break with Trae Young playing like an all-star, and you would think as a point guard who's a little bit light, not tall, certainly not a physically imposing figure, you would think that rookie who only played 1 year of college ball, I mean, I don't know how many games are played in high school these days. Back when I played, I feel like we played like 23 or 4 regular season games, maybe 1 tournament. With Oklahoma, they got beat in the first round, so he probably played a maximum of 32 or 3 games at OU last season. So in playing an 82-game season, now they sat him out today, but they covered the spread against Milwaukee, and my Hawks have been on a spread covering spree, 17-6 versus the number in their last 23 games. Quite a few outright wins in there as well. And so, in my opinion, you were never going to be able to judge the Trae Young for Doncic trade until you see who the Hawks get in this upcoming draft with that extra pick that they got to move down 2 spots. But I think we've seen post All-Star break that, Trae Young is, and by the way, he's being called Ice Trae Young in the ATL these days. What a buzzer beater that was he had about a week ago. I think it was last weekend. But anywho, regardless of that extra pick, I mean, you could certainly make the case that Young should be Rookie of the Year with these numbers he's been putting up lately. I'm looking at his season stats, which aren't going to be as impressive. I mean, if they were broken down, I probably should have gone to a different page, but we're live on video now. So, but I probably could have, I would just love to see what his stats are, his averages are the last 30 games, because they are much higher than these I'm about to share with you. Trae Young, and by the way, okay, so he's played 80 games. So today was the first game he's missed all year. That is very, very impressive. And not only did he not hit a rookie wall, he blasted through that wall and played his best basketball here after the All-Star break in the last 30 or so games. So for the season, his season numbers, and again, they're much better if you look at them from the last, or if you had a post All-Star break stats. But for the season, 19.1 points per game, 8.0 assists per game compared to 3.8 turnovers. So better than a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. I mean, that's not great. I think it'll get better. That's a little on the high side for the turnovers, but it's a real good assist average as well. And that's what the Hawks were doing. They trusted that his basketball IQ and his ability to pass at an elite level and his own self. Well, at Oklahoma, he had to be a high volume shooter there. And he is a high volume shooter at times, but usually for the betterment of the team. Anyway, 3.7 rebounds per game. He shot 82.6% from the free throw line, 41.9% from the field, only 32.6% from 3, which needs improving. But look, if he can shoot for his career in that 37 to 38% range, and I think he will get there over the next couple of years, that'll be he'll average more than 25 points per game in the future, a few years down the road. I shouldn't say few, 1 or 2 years down the road. Okay, so Trae Young is obviously a nice building block, and you've got the Mavs lottery pick this year. John Collins out of Wake Forest. He's just turned into just a great find with that mid-first round pick a couple years ago. He averaged 19.5 points per game this year, 9.5 rebounds per game, shot at a 56% clip from the field. Those are outstanding numbers. Kent Bazemore is a veteran. He's on a bad contract for the Hawks, a great contract for him. I'm sure they'll try to move him this offseason. That contract's going to be extremely hard to move, though. Taurean Prince, pretty decent young player. I believe this was his 3rd season out of Baylor, averaged 13.4 points per game. He gets lost defensively quite a bit. He's a decent piece. He might get moved. He might not. We'll see. But a lot of good young pieces for the Hawks. Kevin Huerter, the rookie out of Maryland, elite shooter. I mean, a big time three-point shooter with serious range. And again, like Young, I even hesitate to share his season stats because they're misleading. He was not playing many minutes early in the year, but about 30, 40 games in, they just threw him in the starting lineup and let him play. And he started producing, quite a few 20-point games for the season. Now only averaging 9.6 points per game, but I think first off, a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio is pretty good for an off guard. 2.8 assists per game, 1.4 turnovers per game, but shot 37.8% from 3 as a rookie. That's very impressive, and I think those numbers will get better. In fact, I think that he really can be one of the top 3 or 4 3-point shooters in the league a couple years down the road. I'm trying to remember how many years he played at Maryland. I only think he was there 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. So there's 3 very good pieces for the Hawks, 2 lottery picks this year, 5 of the top 42 picks in this draft. Now, they also have a first-round pick from Cleveland from the Korver trade a couple years ago. It did not convey this year because I believe it was top 10 or lottery protected, but they'll get that next year. So 5 of the top 42 picks this year, 2 first-rounders next draft, 3 outstanding pieces in John Collins, Trae Young, and Kevin Huerter. And DeAndre Bembry's not that bad. He's a pretty decent player. I thought Omari Spellman, the rookie out of Villanova, was playing pretty well, had a season-ending injury about a month ago. He was only averaging 17.5 minutes per game, 17.29 to be exact. So we can pretty much double what his season numbers are, which are 5.9 points and 4.2 boards a game. We could double them in the sense that, if he was playing 35 minutes a game, which he might be in the future, if that's the case, he had a rookie season where he was averaging 11.8 points and 8.4 boards per game. If you, translate it to a 35 minutes per game average. And he's a stretch 5, shot 34.4% from long distance this year. So I think Spellman is a pretty good piece moving forward as well. I'm not completely positive on the contract situations with the 2 bigs, Alex Len and Dwayne Dedmon. I know they were not on long-term deals. They were, but they might have been on 2-year or maybe even 3-year contracts. But let's move over to the NBA draft.net's latest mock draft to give you an idea of what sort of talent the Hawks might be bringing in. I guess obviously we got the lottery coming up during the playoffs. I guess what NBA draft.net is doing here is just giving you where the likelihood of the Hawks picks falling. Now, obviously, everybody in Atlanta would love for the Hawks to win the lottery for the very first time. They've never won it and been in it quite a few times, and get Zion, because watch the fudge out if that happens. But I guess it's just doing the probability of where the Hawks will land with Dallas's pick and their own, and it's got them at number 5 and number 6. Which, according to NBA Draft.net's latest mock, would be Kobe White, the freshman guard out of North Carolina, although we got Trae Young, so Not sure why they would have Atlanta taking a point guard, especially because I don't think White and Young are big enough to play together. I don't think either can really defend a 6'5" shooting guard. But anyway, well, you know what? Oh, my gosh. Coby White is 6'5"? Huh. He's listed as 6'5". So maybe I need to retract that statement. Maybe he can defend. But look, Coby White is a big-time talent. Did not play as well against Auburn and burned my pockets in that Sweet 16 game, but he had a hell of a freshman season. And so, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize he's 6'5". But anyway, Jarrett Culver, Texas Tech star, is who NBA Draft.net has him taking the second pick on. They're also going to be drafting the 35th overall pick in the second round, which on this mock draft has Admiral Schofield, which I think would be an outstanding selection. I mean, he's a different player than Draymond Green, but I'll use that comparison in that an early second-round pick who could be a starter for 10 or 15 years in this league, and I think that's Admiral Schofield. Now, can he be an all-star like Draymond has been? I'm not sure, but he's 6'5", 240. He's got great range. He will step on the NBA court as a rookie, and from a physicality standpoint, not only be able to compete, I think physically he's not going to be pushed around, and he might do a lot of the pushing around. As a matter of fact, the other two picks in the second round are number 40 overall and number 42. This mock has a couple players out of Washington. That's not going to happen. They aren't going to draft Matisse Thybulle, probably butchered that pronouns, and Jalen Noel. But just to give you an idea, some of the picks around that area, and obviously I just talked about how Coby White, another point guard, but I will give you who's listed here. Carson Edwards is listed at 38. Chuma Okeke out of Auburn. When did they do this mock? They did it on April 4th. When did Okeke tear his ACL last year? Okay, so they have him. So I guess they probably would have had him higher because he's going to be coming off a torn ACL, but yet is still listed as a 37th overall pick. Other players in that area, Eric Paschal out of Villanova, double ring owner during his collegiate career. I don't know how to pronounce Jalen LeQuay. He signed with NC State. So why is he even listed there? They're not going to change the one and done before the draft, are they? Huh. I guess they're assuming that might be a possibility. Anyway, Jonte Porter, who also just tore his ACL again in the last couple of weeks out of Missouri, had a really good freshman year, had to sit out this year, and apparently tore his ACL again. Not very good luck on the injury front for the Porter family lately. So 5 picks in the top 42, 2 first-rounders in next year's draft, next year being like 13 or like 14 months from now, and 3 good pieces in Huerter, Collins, and Young, and actually I'll throw Spellman in there as well. So I think the future is bright for my Atlanta Hawks, not necessarily to make the playoffs next year. Well, it depends. If they get Zion, absolutely into the playoffs next year. So there's my breakdown on the Hawks. When we get NFL, it's been a long day, NBA playoff series prices later this week, we'll have a video up and go over those. But that's it for now on the Hawks. I'm Brian Edwards of MajorWager.com. Thanks for joining us, and over and out.